Radar's in my lap right now for the listeners. If you hear grunting or snoring noises, that's my dog. And I didn't
Yeah.
mention that at the last podcast, and he made a couple of funky grunty noises, and I was hoping nobody thought it was me.
I think it's so important to just get little wins, you know? I think little
hmm
wins get you, any little proof of concept is
All
so.
right. Hello, writers and crashers. I'm Valerie Son.
And I'm Erick Mertz.
And this is episode 151 of the podcast. It is April 3rd, 2024, as we record this. And today we're talking about small wins. Let's go for the small wins.
Let's get them.
Thank you to our existing patrons for believing in our work offline and here on the podcast. You can become a patron of the arts by going to patreon.com/Valerie Ihsan for books, writing instruction, coaching, and planning, and patreon.com/Strange Air Stories for short stories in the paranormal mystery genre. Announcements. Registration is open for the 2024 Writercraft Writing Retreat and Workshop in Marcola, Oregon. At this point, there are 3 private tickets left and 3 shared tickets. If you want to do a shared lodging, it costs less for the ticket, and the space is really big, actually. And of course, you have your own bed and everything too. So we will likely sell out again. They're going fast. So valerieihsan.com/retreat for more information. I have a new book out for writers. That's the writing how-to books. And that's the one I co-wrote with Thorn and Miranda Weingartner. Erick is publishing an anthology. Do you want to say anything about that?
I am. Yes, back into the ground. Anthology of Pacific Northwest inspired horror. You do not need to be from the Pacific Northwest. Your story just needs to be inspired by the Pacific Northwest. Um, yeah, and we're looking for stories that are, yeah, that feel like Oregon, Washington, that kind of thing. You can go to caretakerpress.org and submit a story there. We're open. We haven't even started reading stories yet, so I imagine,
There's plenty of time to get
I
one in. And you're taking
plenty of
flash
time. Yeah,
fiction and short stories
we
and
we are taking everything. I don't mean everything as in like we don't have standards. I just mean more like
any length.
I kind of mean, yeah, we're taking all lengths. If you have something longer than the traditional short story, then just, shoot me an email. Um, Let me know yeah, just let me know. And if you have a novella, something like that, then we can talk about maybe how it would fit in. So,
Or maybe an excerpt or something. All
no
no,
excerpts.
no
We're not
excerpts. Okay.
No excerpts. I've read excerpts in magazines and things, and it's I don't attach to them
hmm
very. Yeah, I don't attach to them. So I feel like if you have a novella, maybe that novella is in a series, in a world, we could talk about that. But I think it would need to be a standalone story.
Okay. Author updates. You lit a fire under me, Erick, last time we talked. So I have
Yay!
now got a perma-free book almost published. It's called Focus and Finish: Goal Setting and Strategic Planning for Writers. So that is already edited and formatted and ready for publication. I just need to order the cover. And once
Cool.
the cover comes in, then I'll be putting that up, perma-free ebook everywhere. I am going to create a workbook so that, that'll come later, but all of the juicy bits will be published. And then if you want to have a workbook version of it, that will come in a bit after that.
Cool.
I have a couple more conferences I want to pitch. I missed one of the deadlines. Last weekend, I was trying to get so much stuff done, and I just missed one of the deadlines for one of the local conferences. So if anybody has any ideas for more conferences to pitch, I would love to hear them. You can write us at writercraftpodcast@gmail.com. Taxes, that's coming very soon. The deadline is approaching and I don't feel prepared at all. So I have set aside Friday of this week all day long to just get the accounting part done and the tax prep done, getting all the receipts and getting the totals and the categories and, all that stuff. And then I can like hand them all to Ali because he's the one that goes through TurboTax and I sit with him, but I don't know. He likes to be in charge of the keyboard during TurboTax time.
Oh boy, that's funny.
So, so yeah,
Taxes are not funny. I
no,
don't find taxes funny, but
but you can
I
make them
definitely
fun.
can
And
you?
I
Can you really?
can. I mean, every year I get a little bit better. So I had this spreadsheet that I'd gotten from some other, it was on Willamette Writers. There was a workshop or one of their chapter meetings where they had a accountant, a CPA there who was talking about doing taxes for as an author, and she pointed the direction to the I was on her website. You could download this Excel spreadsheet that you could use to track your expenses as an author. So I have been using that ever since, and I got all the way to like June, July, and then whatever, I don't know, something happened at that point and I just stopped recording. So I have a whole half a year done, which is the most I've ever
Oh,
had at tax time. So I'm actually like, it's only going to take half the time to do the tax prep. So I'm actually looking forward to doing it and getting it done. And then, you know, and then get back into, I guess I have to do January,
terrific.
February, and March now for 2024. But yeah, so I feel better about it this year. And every year I get a little
Good,
bit better at it. What's your
good.
update?
Well, I had a week off last week. Most of the week I was gone, which is always precarious when you run a business. You kind of stop working for a little while and hope that nothing goes wrong. And
Yeah,
um,
I know about that.
and it's always a challenge for me. I'm very hands-on, but yeah, I mean it was a good trip. I'm back. Things are, picking back up. I'm meeting with a digital marketer today to start like revamping. Is revamping the word? I
Hmm.
guess reinvigorating the sort of what I'm doing to market the business side of um my professional life, the writer services side. Um, just kind of hit a point where I think I've grown as much as I'm going to grow doing the things I've done for all these years, and now it's time to just look at new opportunities. So, met someone local, as I think I've said, and he and I are going to sit down and strategize. I've just had a lot of like, I don't want to say they're limiting thoughts, but I've definitely had some belief systems that like this person has already questioned in a way that works for me.
Hmm.
So
That's cool.
that was when I say that I paid for information, like I paid for it. It was like a revelation, just to see
Mm.
my business from the top down, from someone who was not in it.
Hmm.
He's only looking at it as a new person, and that was the beginning of belief challenging, really, because all the things that he had said in that analysis, some of it really harmonized with me, some of it really surprised me, some of it angered me,
I
but it all was like, okay, this is great
laughed. Sorry.
information.
I'm
This
not
is all
laughing at your
actionable.
anger.
Well, it was a funny reaction for me too. There was a few of the things in there got me really like flustered, and I have since, like, I want to say, come down and realized why, and that's fine.
Mm. Hmm.
So, it's great. Like, I think it's one of those, it's just kind of get your head checked and see where you're at, and not assume where you are. And I've known for about a year and a half now that like I was plateauing, and so I don't like that feeling. I still haven't like achieved like real true what my true business goal getting started was. I haven't achieved it yet. So getting closer. And this guy, I believe, is going to be a part of all that. Say I'm launching a new series. Season in the Bush. I have the first novella in that series. It's going to be going out to ARCs here probably early next week for them to take a look at it. Um, the book will be up on the first book is called Dead Still. It will be up as a pre-order probably at I don't know, in a couple of weeks or so. Um, it's it's really been a fun write, and
Mm,
it's really been a fun write. Um, there's a little bit more. It's still paranormal mystery, but there's a little bit more of that, like, kind of folksy. This was the story I was told by someone who was told the story by someone else kind of feel to it. That's what I'm going for. And just getting into that storytelling voice and tone was really fun. So I'm looking
cool.
forward to more.
I'm looking forward to reading
But
it.
yeah. Yeah, you're on the ARC list. I've seen
I
that.
know. Yay. Pick me, pick me.
Yeah.
All right, what are you reading?
I am reading a book. This one just jumped off the library stack at me. I'm holding it in my hand. It's called Study for Obedience by Sarah Bernstein, and it was the Booker Prize winner, shortlisted, sorry, in for 2023. It won a bunch of awards. Um, yeah, the cover has a dead bird, which pulled me in because I'm that kind of person. I'm like, ooh, dead bird. What could this be about? Um, but it's a really weird. It's literary, which is I don't read a lot of literary anymore, thanks to getting a degree in English. I'm done reading literature. Um, but it's very literary, but it's also weird. It's like weird fiction, and it's about a girl who's kind of like she's like a nowhere person. She's kind of just nowhere in the world, and her brother, who's a recluse in the countryside, asks her to come take care of him because he needs someone to help him take care of the house, and he lives on this big estate, and it's sort of her integrating into this tight-knit rural British community as this really she's a really weird person, and she gets into all of these sort of interactions with people, um
How
and
far
it's
into the
slowly
book
like
are
it's just
you?
um I'm far enough in to know she's weird. Halfway.
Do you have a sense
She's
of why she's weird? Is there like an underlying reason? Are you guessing,
um
or is that just personality or?
I, she kind of the book is just her as she's coming back to the country to see her brother. She's kind of reflecting on the life she left behind and who she was and her relationship to her brother, and she's just one of these people who, like, I don't know if you've ever known people like this. She doesn't have like an interest in a lover. She doesn't have an occupation. All she likes to do is walk and smoke cigarettes, but she doesn't like to walk and smoke cigarettes at the same time. She doesn't understand interactions with people. She doesn't,
It sounds like
it's like she's
Asperger's.
got,
Sounds like
yeah,
something
it's like
someone
she's
on the spectrum.
right. There's these interactions in the story where she's trying to figure out what they mean. And as you read them, you're like it's kind of it's revealing and makes you feel vulnerable because she's so naive to what you know as the reader these interactions actually mean. If that makes sense, right? She's expressing this lack of understanding, and you as the reader are like, lady, that person is warning you, or that person
Uh-huh.
is asking you to leave, and she just doesn't get it.
Yeah.
And and it's weird because her when she shows up at the estate where her brother lives, this is her brother saying, I need your help. He disappears because he has business to attend to. So she's sort of now stuck in this place with, like, tending to his stuff without him there, and it's just so eerie. It's like, what was that movie with Dustin Hoffman, The Wicker Man, like from the 70s? It has that Wicker Man feel where, she's in this small town, and the town is kind of confining to her, and it's just great. It's so breezy and easy to read, and the point of view is so immersive that
Hmm,
it's hard to put down. It's really great.
that's
It's a
cool.
really great book.
While you were
Yeah,
talking
check it
about
out.
it, I was thinking of Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine. Have you read that book?
No, no.
It's mainstream, contemporary. It's a It's about a girl who is going through life and kind of neurodivergent for sure. And but
Right.
they never expressly say that in the story. It's just her interactions with people and what she wants out of life and how is she going to get it and so it's a kind of a character study, kind of a love story, kind of it's a good book. I really enjoyed reading it, but all through it I was
Mm,
like, that's not usually how people respond to that. That's not how
yeah.
people usually respond to that.
Yeah.
Huh. I wonder if
Yeah.
she's, on the spectrum or whatever. Anyway.
Right.
And because my kid is on the spectrum, actually both of them I think are on the spectrum. One was diagnosed, one was not. But yeah, I have history and experience by looking at how people on the spectrum interact with other people. So when I see it in literature, I'm like, oh, this looks familiar.
Yeah. And I've had a career in social work and worked with a lot of people on the spectrum. And
That's right. Yeah.
yeah, I work with a guy. I work with a guy who struggles with basic interactions,
Hmm.
and he would tell you the same thing. Sometimes he doesn't understand why. Like I'll ask him questions like, "So, what have you been reading?" And he'll say, "Why do you want to know that?"
Hmm.
And I'll have
Yeah.
to remind him that we're friends, we're acquainted. This is what acquainted people talk about. And there's a little bit of that in here. Like,
Hmm.
why is she not understanding why this person is it seems really intuitive, but for her it's not. And that's
Hmm.
revealing and makes you feel vulnerable because you also get the sense that she's getting deeper into something menacing.
I'm gonna have to
Um,
read this book,
Great
dude.
book. Great book.
Study of Obedience.
Study of obedience.
Okay.
Study for obedience. Sorry. Yeah.
Study for Obedience. Okay, cool.
What do
Did you
you work?
finish the
What do you read?
Bachman books?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They were great.
I am still reading Worthy. The book club meets on the 18th of this month. So I'm halfway through. So that is the book that I am focusing on right now. But as you know me, I am dipping in and out of other things that I've started,
Right.
but are not far enough in to really have an opinion about, like I was, or like I was reading a cookbook, like the intro to the cookbook. So now I'm
Yep.
at the recipe part. So I'm not going to read those.
Right.
um, yeah, so that's what I'm reading. Worthy, How to Believe You Are Enough and Transform Your Life by Jamie Kern Lima. I heard her on a
Those
podcast, couple of them actually. So I thought, all right, I'll buy the book
the
because then, the book club chose it. So, all right, I guess I will read this book.
I I really want a book club in my life because I think it would give me some discipline to like start and finish something and not jump the stack. Because I
Maybe
would
we should have a book club, Eric.
we should start one. I
Yeah.
this book jumped in. Like I was just at the library, my kid was picking out books, so I had to like just wait around a minute in the new. And I always wait around Oregon City Library. I love you, hate you because you put the new stuff right near the checkout stand. So like you could checkout stand right at the at the desk. And I'm sitting there like waiting for my kid to come back and he has all the time in the world he wants in a library. And that's my parenting like tip. Let your kids loose in the library and then go stand by the new releases and they just
Unless they're
call to
on the
you. They're like,
spectrum.
"Oh, okay. Okay."
I couldn't let my son, my oldest, yes, but my son had too much ADHD also in there, and he just couldn't be left
Uh
alone.
Well, this book just jumped off and it's been like I said, it's been great. It was really worth it. But there are three other books that are sitting on my desk waiting to be read. And some of them have been waiting for a while. So yeah.
That's okay. I have so many that I I basically have a library in my house that or a
Yeah.
bookstore, whatever you want to call it. I've got a whole bookshelf full of books that I haven't read yet. So every time
Yeah.
I'm done, I'm like, oh, what book should I read? And I go through my shelves like I'm at a bookstore or a library and just pick out what feels
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
All right.
I still look at things. I look at the stacks in my house and say, "Oh, I forgot when I even bought that book." And I really wanted to read it at that time. And so what are you gonna do? Let's talk
Let's
about
talk about
wins.
wins. Yay.
So
So,
we before this we were talking about homework,
mhm.
and before and I think you should share what you talked about with homework, and we'll kind of use that as a jumping off point because I thought that was a really, I think it was a really succinct and relatable way that we for people to think about this.
When I was in high school, I don't even remember how many classes you had then. Was it like 8 or 7 or 6 or something? I forget how many classes they crammed into one day. It
Like
was like
in a day.
yeah, 50 minutes per
Yeah.
class, and you would just hop from class to class. And every teacher gave homework because that was, I don't know, maybe it was in their contract.
I believe it was.
I don't know. So at the end of the day, I tried to get as much done as possible in the class, whether it was for that class or for some other class, something. I was always trying to like get as much done as possible before I got home because, if you had like 5 different assignments, sometimes that could take you hours. And if you get home at 3 o'clock or 3:30 and you've got hours of homework to do, plus the housework that your mom left you before you went to school, and you're a kid. So there's got to be some downtime in there too. Anyway, small wins, I would always
Right.
do the least amount of homework first, so I could cross
Right.
off like, okay, I don't have any more math homework. Okay, I don't have more science homework. Okay, I don't have any more, oh, I've got 2 assignments to do. I can do that, and it would just sort of empower me to like keep going. It would be motivating to get the small stuff done. Arguably, other people like to do it the other way and get all the hard stuff done first so that, like do the hard stuff in the mornings or whatever your most creative time is so that you can get that off your list and then you can just sort of coast the rest of the day and do the easy stuff. I don't know. For some reason, that didn't work for me. And I remember trying to do it that way, just to see like
Right.
if that felt any better or if that was more efficient. But for some reason, my personality really liked being able to say, I mean, because if you've got the big master list, sometimes that's just overwhelming. If you've got like 5 assignments to do in 2 hours and you're already kind of tired, like that's
Right.
just too much to like handle. And then you just don't do it at all. And you eat ice cream and watch cartoons. Like, but I needed those
Right.
little wins.
Right. Yeah, I'm you and me,
I'm
same.
a
I feel the
dopamine
same way. Like
junkie. I want to cross that
yeah,
that thing off my list and get the dopamine hit.
yeah. Whenever I clean up the house, whenever I'm like doing chores around the house, I always do a couple of things early on in the process where it's like I loaded the dishwasher, started the dishwasher, check. It's the
Hmm.
smallest chore on the list, but it's done. Let's keep
Hmm.
going.
Yeah.
It's a great feeling. Yeah. Like one of the things that I hear hold people back, and maybe because this is really germane to a conversation Elijah and I had recently, but it's like go get the little win. Like you don't have to get into, you're not going to become an Eagle Scout tomorrow. You're a Cub Scout. Go get the badge. Go get the little badge. That's the little win, and then that grows and grows and grows into the big one. So I think it's so important to just get little wins. I think little
Hmm.
wins get you, any little proof of concept is so. I think that when you look at, the things you have to do for work, like either it's like the totality of your work, you have 10 things to do in a day, or maybe it's a project, there's 10 steps you have to do in an individual project. Like, I think that in order to complete those things, to the bigger things, you have to go about taking those steps. And for me, I think the small wins are great. Like I always go in and do a couple of the little things first when I start the morning, when I start, because it just gives me that little bit of energy. Like it's like I'm setting out to do a day's worth of work and I have 10 tasks. I'm going to do the little thing that's going to make me feel like I've accomplished something. I'm already starting, I'm already going. I don't have to like, I don't like dragging through the tough stuff right away. I like getting that hit of
So, can you give me an
accomplishment and then keep
example of
going.
what one of those little tasks are? What is a little task for
Well,
you?
so when I got back from, we took a road trip around the state, got back on Thursday night, and I had some basic things to do. I had big things to do, like finish writing a chapter for a client. Um, I also had to, I'm going to a conference at the end of this month in Denver. I had to get in touch with the conference chair I was donating some items to their silent auction. And so writing a chapter, that's about a 3 to 4 hour task. Emailing that person to say, hey, I'm going to donate these two things, and this is what, and go through that process. 5 minutes. So when I sat down at my desk, and I hadn't been at my desk in 5 days, I was tired from just getting home from a trip. I needed that hit of like, I got something done, and I had my to-do list, which it's still, I'm holding it up if anybody's watching. Like I had I needed to cross something off, and so I sent the email to the conference chair, got that off, and just the power of crossing that item off the list was like,
Hmm.
it felt great. And you intellectually know it's the smallest thing on the list, and so you've just made a dent, but that dent also comes with,
The dopamine hit of
I'm
crossing it
done.
off.
I'm
Yay!
done. I didn't have to do that now. Um, and we lose that. I just think we lose sight of that. Like sometimes the mountain, you don't realize the mountain is a series of steps. It's not 10,000 feet, it's 10,000 steps, and you got to take one. So,
Hmm. My challenge is if I were to, I don't know if there's like a broken bit in my brain or something, but I always have a problem judging how long a task will take. So if I were to sit down and be like, all right, I'm just going to check my email real quick before I start writing or before I start
mm,
that project that I need to start, checking my email sends me into like 7 different places. Like,
yeah, that's the
oh,
false
this
dopamine
person
hit for
needs
me.
me to pitch this conference. Oh yeah, the deadline's coming up. Let me look up. Oh, this is a quick thing. I can just fill this out. I'll fill it. Oh, now it needs a description of the summary of the. Oh, I guess I haven't written that yet. So then I go to Scrivener and I start like brainstorming and writing the summary for the class that I want to teach. And then I go back and fill that in. And then so I just keep getting pinged around. And I'm like, oh, I got to get back to my emails. So then I go back. It just takes so long to go through that. And I don't know if I need to do a different system, like go through and delete all of the junk first and then use that as tasks for the rest of the day, but then leave and come back. But then that doesn't feel efficient. Like they always say, like, if you're checking your mail, like back in the day with the paper mail, when you pick it up and you have a piece of paper in your hand, like put it where it goes or throw it away. Like, don't touch that piece of paper twice. So it doesn't feel very efficient to do that. But then how else do I control the ping, 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 the pinball machine that involves opening up my email?
For me, that has to be a whole separate thing. Like getting into email is inviting chaos into that. If once I had this list that I compiled as I was on the trip, I just sort of like mentally made the list. I
Hmm.
wrote it down the morning that we left. So I just said, look, I got it. I know I've got to do some things tonight. These are the must-haves. Um, but once I make that list of these are the things I need to do, and this is the time I have to do it, that's when email can no longer be a factor. Like if you haven't gotten your email request into me before I started that process, then you get into the next email cycle because you're right. Email does. Like just this morning, I've got my day planned and it's a great day. I already had 2 or 3 people to say, hey, what about this? Or hey, now that I'm back from my vacation, what about that? I can't, once I invite that in, now my whole life is like creating a to-do list. It's just like constantly updating and editing what I have to do. So I just look at it like I've now, this is what I have to do today. And short of an absolute fire, which doesn't really happen in writing because like nothing is broken that to that degree. Um, I just move on. And like tonight I'll look at your request. I'll add it to my tomorrow list. But today, this is what you got.
How often do you
I
check
think
your
you have to have
email?
my email is always open. It's never closed, but I don't, I have like I think, trained my brain not to look at it closely all the time. Like I'll see when things are coming in because I'll
Mm-hmm.
see the like new emails
Notification
pop up.
banner. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll see the notifications come in, but and I'll look at it and I'll know what it is, but I've just trained my brain to say, to make a compartment really and just say, you know what? Person who wants me to investigate this, person who needs that, like these are not, again, these are not fires, so I will deal with them another time. Um, I when I started out, I definitely felt like I had to be answer every email as it came in, and now I've told myself like if you're answering an email instantly, then you've jumped the stack, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've jumped the stack of like of importance, and things just don't get done. Things
I
just do
know.
not get done.
I sat down to do a sample edit last night, and that was where the email pinball machine happened. And I
Yeah,
spent, an hour doing conference pitching stuff, which I also need to do, but I really wanted to get a sample edit in. So,
yeah. Yeah,
um,
so I think like if I have that if I have those things in that email pinball machine, now I'm going to call it a pinball machine. Thank you. Um,
it's
you
totally
should
true.
trademark that. It's true. It's what it feels like. But to bring it back to what we're talking about, like the I think what that happens, the why that like answering the immediate intervention is problematic is because I think it keeps you from the small wins. I think it really keeps you from accomplishing the little things on your list. It keeps
Hmm.
you, it then turns everything into like now it's emergency activity where it's like, well, now I have to do the things that have to get done.
Hmm.
And I can't preemptively communicate with the conference director, like it's, and in bigger senses, like, we got into this topic when we were talking about having this release this permafree book 2.5 3 weeks ago that I taking that strategy, like I'm just giddy with how this permafree thing has worked so far. I mean, the value that it's gotten me, my do it, it's been amazing. Like this, like my book has been in the top um 10 in the its main free categories for the entire time it's been up. um and I've gotten, I mean, how many reviews in the like off of this, just posting it? I think I've gotten like 7 or 8 reviews for subsequent books in the series because there's read through. There's been a ton of read through. So
That's cool.
it's and I have run no ads to it. I've done nothing to it yet. I haven't even announced it to my mailing list that I've done this. So, and it's just like I did something, I saw the result of it, and I can now tell myself if I do a little bit more, I can reasonably guess I'll get more of a result. And that's,
Hmm.
when you're out there in the I don't know what's going to happen land, that's
Right.
very, very meaningful. So,
It is.
anyway, give yourself little wins. You deserve it. I'm meeting with my digital marketer today. We're having our like strategy launch meeting, and he's really big on what motivates you. Like you're gonna have work to do, but I want to be able to give you things to like give you win, like what's a win for you, like you're going to need wins while you're doing the work, and that's kind of one of the reasons I chose him.
Hmm.
And I was thinking about it when I was walking, like I'm so just, I mean, it's not even that big a deal, Valerie. The amount of like traction I've gotten off this free book is not even that big of a deal, but it is so empowering and good feeling to me to be like,
Mm.
fuck yeah, I've gotten like 380 downloads in the last week off of a free book, and it's led to this little bit, like,
Hmm.
so like the little win of seeing that work, the book is doing really well as a freebie. It's leading to a lot of sell through. It's leading to a lot of um reviews. It's kind of breaking a lot of the stagnation in the series itself. Like it was a good move. That little win came as the product of priorities. It came as a product of like of keeping that item on my to-do list and getting it done, and making sure that it got its time. Um,
And
Probably
my
could have buried it if I had been in email land.
and also again to bring up the perma-free stuff again, and my conversation with you a couple weeks ago about it led me to light that fire, and get that perma-free book of my own out there. So I've been kind of, since coming back from Turkey and the slow reentry, I was not surprised, I guess, but dismayed at how slow it took me to kind of get back into my world after that long sabbatical, unintended sabbatical. And so having the small wins of, all right, I formatted this book. It is ready to publish. That's a great
Bam.
win, and
Yep.
filling out the form for the cover. I just need the book description, and then I can order that, and that'll be another win. And yeah, so finding, especially when you've had kind of a rough time
Yeah.
of it, if you're feeling like this fallow land is a little bit too fallow for your comfort, or if you're
Right.
burnt out, or if you're trying to fill that creative well so that you can keep working, or any win, anything, if you feel like you're just sort of stuck, or I don't know, something feels off or whatever, like anything you can do that would constitute a small win in your world at all. It doesn't even have to be the writing world. It can be writing adjacent. But like
Yeah.
anything that can help you feel like, all right, I'm back. Maybe I'm not back at full strength, but here I come. It's happening. And I'm just going to start chiseling and start, you know, it's kind of like when you start running, it takes a while to like get up to full speed. Like you start walking, you're stretching out your muscles, you're making sure everything's moving okay, and then you start like it's kind of like a hop walk, you've like got a little bounce to your walk, and then you start like jogging, but it's real slow. And then you're full on jogging, and then you're getting faster at the jogging, and then maybe you can sprint across the finish line or whatever. So
Right.
it's kind of like that, like, okay, here I come. It's happening. Small win, small win, small win. Look at this big fat win.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so. Like, I think that yeah, I completely agree. I think there's a lot to be said for
That
like,
was a weird analogy.
no,
Didn't
but
know
it
I was
works. I
gonna
mean,
do
to
a
me, it works.
cheer on the air for y'all. I feel like a Muppet,
Yeah.
at the end when they're all shaking their
Oh,
hands.
yeah. I think it's important. I just think it's important. I think it's important to know that like crossing something off, it shouldn't. When I was new at this, um, I used to sort of I would bristle at that blissful feeling of accomplishing little things because I would have this little negative voice in my head that would say, "What did you do? You just sent an email." But I've learned to embrace the idea that like that email is now done, that thing is accomplished. It's, that thing is able, like, you're setting action and intention into the world, and you're doing the things. There's nothing small about a victory. It may, compared to the other things on your list, it may be small, but it's actually for your body and brain, it's enormous.
It
Gotta
totally
love it.
is. There's so many reasons. I mean, I think that we all struggle with, you know, since we started talking about running, like if I wanted to exercise like 20 years ago, if it wasn't running, like walking, that's what is that? That's not
What's
exercise.
walking?
What's
Right.
walking? If I'm not running, then I shouldn't even try. I shouldn't even do it. I shouldn't even, it's
Right.
not, it
Right.
doesn't count, which is totally a 20-year-old thing to think.
Yeah.
And now that I
You're
have
right.
realized, man, walking is movement. It's good for your joints. It's good for your bones. Like it's good.
Yeah.
So yeah, celebrate
Yeah.
those. All of it counts. All of it counts. And also, when you do these small wins, the importance of doing these small wins and celebrating them is is proving to yourself that you can do what you set out to do. Even if it's just email someone and that's all you can do for that day. That is you're reinforcing your own personal integrity, and taking action
Yeah.
always brings confidence. So if you're feeling
Right.
a lack of confidence, do one small thing, one action step toward your big goal and celebrate that win.
Yeah. Bingo.
Bingo.
Love it.
Um, I guess this is another plug also for monthly reflection. I just did my monthly reflection couple Monday night. And one of the things that I do when I do a monthly reflection is like write down all the things, not all the things, but most of the things that I did in that whole month. You know, I did podcast episodes, I visited my dad, I um, grieved, and I did my self-care, and all of the things that I did. I write out the whole list, and then I pick the thing that I'm most proud of. In this case, it wasn't writing related. It was that I held my dog as he died. That was my most, thing that I was proud of. But it it helps you remember all the little wins that you had. Like, as you start writing
Yeah.
it down and you're looking through your planner and you're writing down all the things you did, it is so empowering because you're like, wow, even this month where I feel like I didn't do anything and I've just been recovering, I got a lot of stuff done. And I'm really proud
Right.
of all of the things that I did. So
Yeah.
do the
Yep.
monthly reflection, think about all the things that you have done. I used to get, when I was a young mother, I used to get really frustrated at not getting anything done. And I was um, complaining to my mother-in-law about how I just could never get anything done. And I was feeling really bad about myself. And she said, well, don't make to-do lists then, make done lists. I don't know what she called them, but
Mm.
like I did lists and write down all, and I thought, how's that going to help anything?
Right.
But then years
Right.
and years later, that's what I'm doing. I'm writing down, like, look at this list of all the things I did. And
Yeah.
it's
That's
great. It really is good. So celebrate those small
I
wins, people. You deserve it.
absolutely. Yep. Yep. And share them
Awesome.
with us. If you nail a small win and you want somebody to high five, send us an email, leave a
Yep.
comment. We'll high five you.
We'll high five you. We'll even read it on the podcast if you want. And you can
How
also put it
how
on
about that?
we have a Facebook group, Writercraft Podcast Facebook group. So you can go there and leave your wins there too if you want.
Love it. Love it.
All right. Well, I think that's it for now. You have anything else to say?
Absolutely. Nope.
Nope.
I
All
think we
right.
covered it.
Cool. Well, we will see you next week then. Bye for now.
See you then. Bye bye.